Hey, 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 it's Cindy Gould here, and welcome back to Create Your Victorious Life, where we are here to help you to create victory in every area of your life. I am so excited to welcome you to the Spanglish World Networks, also on Zingo TV, channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app and the respective app stores, whether it's iOS or Android devices. And while you download, please make sure to leave a really cool rating and a great comment. This app is totally free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. I am so excited to welcome back one of our fan favorites, Yayoi Komiyama, who is also one of my favorite people on the planet. And we are so excited to be here today to talk a whole lot about the connection between your brain and your belly. I wanted to say, and if you have a fat head, you probably have.
You did not say that.
I'm just teasing people. Maybe I'm not. But you'll know more about how the show goes on today. It'll be so fun. But we're really going to have a really great conversation today about things that actually really do matter and the connection between your brain and your belly. Sorry, Yoy.
That's
This
okay.
is great. I love it. That's what's fun about doing our show, right? So I do, there's so many beautiful things that I can say about Yayoi. The one thing that I will share, though, that's to me the most important is that she really, really cares about helping people to really know, to know what if you take care of your brain and you clear your mindset and you clear your heart, your body just follows suit. And that's what's so beautiful about it. She's an expert in this field with years and years and years and years of experience in the private and public sectors. And so without further ado, Yayoi Komiyama, welcome back.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for having me on your show again.
You're welcome.
And and we're gonna just giggle our way through this show.
We are.
But yeah, today I really wanted to talk about brain and belly because I know how important it is to have that balance, to have that harmony with the two, so the rest of your body and your soul and your spirit can all be in harmony so that you can have that peace in your heart, because
100%.
when it's out of whack, it's out of whack.
Hmm.
And you're there's so much unrest and turmoil within you.
So much. And
Yeah.
so, and it's so interesting, I know if you've watched the show at all, you've heard me probably talk about when I have released, yeah, I don't know, about 130 pounds or so, thank you. Yay. And I didn't carry that weight for a long time. I had gone through, and this is to your point, I had gone through some really rough experiences and miscarriage, and I wasn't expecting to be pregnant in that stage of my life. I already had a grandchild, actually two granddaughters, and I found myself pregnant. Not, you just didn't think in this stage you're gonna get pregnant. So
Right.
there we were pregnant. And then 6 months later, I miscarried. And after that, my body just went all hamajang and, but what really happened was it was really my heart and my mind that went that way. And so my son Nicholas, and he was so brilliant to say this, actually. He said, "Well, Mom, that's just sad fat," you know? And I know it's kind of funny, right? And it's not. I mean, it was so true. I
It
don't
is.
think he realized how profound that was, that it really was sad fat, you know? And so to open up today, I'll continue a little bit as I was thinking into today when I had, in 2021, all of those, that domino effect of loved ones that moved back home to heaven, starting with my other son, Mana. And then, of course, my father and Aaron, and just, there were a series of people over a really short period of time. My concern was one of many concerns, but my concern was, okay, well, I don't really want to see that sad fat again,
Yeah,
seriously. Like,
I
and to that point, I had to keep this right,
yes,
because it wasn't just about the food that I'm going to eat, because we know, as I think, so I feel, as I feel, so I do, as I do, so I
yes,
have, and as you feel, so you eat,
yes,
because that's your
yes,
due, right?
yes,
And
yes.
then what do you have? You have a little bit more booty, a little bit more
You
belly, a
get
little,
that belly, yeah.
right? Right. So I start us out with that. I was able to make sure that I didn't have that experience. I was so much more aware of
Yes,
it. So my prayer for this show is that whoever watches it will be either reminded, because they already know, or that they'll be made aware that by taking care of these things, then you're not going to have to worry about that.
right. And it's so true. Even from my own experience, I know that to be true. And I know that when I start being more aware up here
Hmm.
and listening to my body, because that's also part of here,
Yep.
is when things become, uh, dare I say it, it becomes easier with the
Yeah.
food because you don't rely on the food to give you comfort. You don't rely on the food to help you mask any hurt or even create a barrier so that you don't have to deal with anything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or even create a false happy,
Yes.
like the world famous comfort foods, right?
Yes,
That word it's a blanket,
it is.
it's a blanket when you're freezing. It's your solace. It's, oh, I'm so comfy now. Now I feel loved and enveloped and comforted. And in to that point, it's like, are you kidding? Who made these words up, right?
The food industry. Kidding.
Exactly. 100%, Yayoi. Think about it though, but what are comfort foods? Carbs, like
Mac
starchy
and
carbs,
cheese,
mac
mac
and
and
cheese,
cheese,
potato,
fries.
fries and ranch, fries
Yeah.
and tartar, fries and chipotle ranch,
Mayo.
red robin. Yeah. Mayo or garlic aioli, right? Mashed potatoes and gravy. You
Right.
mean
Chocolate
biscuits?
cake.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, chocolate cake. What about crepe cake,
Oh,
Yayoi?
yum. Yeah. But I wouldn't waste that on like a binge eat or anything like that. That crepe cake is something that you need to relish. I mean, you take a bite, you just go, this is so good. And it is so good, I have to tell you.
You have to experience it.
Yes.
I thought of you actually today because on the flight, I was watching JoJo, what is it, Chip and JoJo Gaines, from,
Okay. Yes, yes. The house
but she has
people.
her cooking show and
Ah,
she made crepe cake.
oh my God.
Yeah. So she made crepes. So she made a savory crepe and then she made the sweet. But in the layers, she used hazelnut and I mean, yeah, that face, right? She used all these yummy things. And I thought, ooh, this is good. But I thought of you because of that. But seriously, what has to happen in somebody's mind to where they're not, you know, I think of that. Is it Lord of the Rings with the little precious? Come here,
Yes,
that,
yes, my precious. Yeah, with the Lord of the Rings. Sorry. I'm such a geek. I'm
that
sorry.
was perfect. That was perfect. So, but what has to happen? in somebody's mind to not make food that.
Well, first of all, I think it's you have to figure out, what you really want. Is it really the food? Usually it's some sort of emotion that you want. It could be love in a lot of cases. It
Sure,
could be comfort,
sure.
safety, and those are all things that are outside that we use food to kind of mask it, right? Use
Mhm.
that as a substitute. And what it is trying to figure out, first of all, what it is that we want, and then finding out ourselves to really look into ourselves to see where
Mhm.
can I find it? The answer
Right.
isn't at the bottom of the, cookie jar or at the bottom of a Haagen-Dazs pint, it's really somewhere else. And, we avoid it because it's not easy.
Right.
I I understand, it's never easy to really look into my heart and see where I am or how I feel about something, or
Mhm.
even to face the uncomfortable of how somebody else feels about me. And the fact of the matter is, sadly, not everyone is going to like me. You know,
Please.
I
How is that
wish.
possible? How is that possible, Yayoi? No.
I wish everyone would love everyone, right? But that's not necessarily true because people have different tastes. Like same with I know there's some crazy people out there that don't like chocolate. I'm sorry to say that.
Who is that?
I've met people that said, "I don't like chocolate." I'm like, "Are you serious?" But there are people like that. Or people that, have a choice between chocolate and vanilla ice cream. They go, "Oh no, I like vanilla better." And I'm like, "Really?" Because to me that's unbelievable. But, people have different things, right? Different
Right.
choices, different preferences. So it's only natural that some people are going to appeal to some people and some people aren't. Some people, meaning that their personalities, their traits, certain traits in their certain characteristics in their personality don't appeal to you. And that's normal. And we can't expect everyone to love us. The main thing is that we need to love ourselves first and
100%.
foremost. And that's something we can control. And
100.
we have, our brain has control over it.
Sure. As soon as I really truly loved myself, I didn't care who loved me after that. Like,
Exactly.
if my people love me, then that's good enough.
Yeah.
And your mom's always gonna love you. So, you know what I mean?
My
It's
dog.
yeah, yeah. But seriously, it isn't any of my business if somebody doesn't. And I say that, but you know what? That doesn't change your emotion, right? And so for
No.
what really did change my emotion was the more that I was comfortable in my skin, the more that I loved myself, the less I felt the need to have all of it. And it's
Yep.
interesting because we live in a world and a society that now is based on likes and hearts. Who
Yes.
hearted your picture? Who liked your picture? Like, I mean, I thought the other day, I was thinking about this the other day, like, what about all the people that didn't get picked to play kickball? Is social media kicking their butt right now? You know what I mean? Like, seriously,
Yeah.
because
I
if you
I
don't
get
have
it.
a lot of likes, right? Or then what are you gonna do? Are you really gonna leave your world, with all of those, or is it like, I know for myself, and I will share this. Somebody said, I met somebody who's followed me on social media for a long time. I didn't know that. I didn't know. They've never liked any of my pictures,
Yeah.
never made a comment, never done anything. And then he said, Cindy, he got kind of emotional. He reached out to me and he said, I just have to tell you that, your posts, they move the needle in my life. They really matter to me. I read every single post you make every single day. And I'm like, well, how come you're not liking them or saying something? I was flattered. And at the same time, that that was my thought. It's like, well, gall, I never knew, right? And I think that's what's important is that you really don't know.
No.
And what really matters is that you just show up and
Yep.
let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. And I think to that point, it's really about not seeking validation from outside, but
Yep.
accepting from inside. So really looking in and
Hmm.
really being aware of, and not, and I mean, it's not easy. And believe me, there are days when I'm in a funk or something, and I'll be like, oh, but somebody didn't like me, or somebody, hey, I go into those too. Like, oh, they didn't even say hi to me, or they,
Right. Right.
or whatever.
Right.
And then I'm like, bang, 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 what am I thinking? And
Right.
it's because, no, those are the old habits that I had from, before when
Right.
I thought that, my life and who I am was all validated by what somebody else felt, what my parents felt, or how my teachers felt, or how my classmates felt about me. But it has nothing to do with that.
Right. Right. Well, and you know what? At the end of the day, if you can't like yourself, it's like who cares? And who cares if somebody in Italy likes you and you know that's not his picture, and you know that is you know you know that is that's a stock photo, and and that's not his kid that he's pretending to be playing with, right? I mean, seriously though, it really boils down to, do not go eat that whole row of Oreo cookies because this person isn't liking you. I mean, and it's funny because that wasn't even you and I didn't ever intend to talk about that. I mean, at the end of the day, really the things that matter in life are who are you loving?
Yeah,
What are you doing? Who are you serving? Who are you showing up for? How are you showing up in the world? What are
yeah,
you doing with your life and your one life
exactly.
right now, right?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, and we only have this one body here on right now, right? I don't know if you believe in reincarnation or if you believe in, coming back to this life or not, whatever. But right now, we only have what we have here, and we need to take care of it.
Hmm.
And taking care of it means being aware of what we put in our mouth.
Right.
You know, um, for the longest time, I was a smoker, you
Mm.
know, and everyone's like, "What? You were a smoker?" And yes, I was doing this like all the time. And and that it was a long time that I smoked. And I'm sure that I wouldn't have as many wrinkles if I didn't smoke so much. But also, the damage that it did to my body. I mean, right now it's not, uh, knock on wood and all this, I don't have that much damage, but I know that, like, when I had my brain scanned, I
Mm-hmm.
went to Dr. Amon's clinic and I had, SPEC scan.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they measure the blood flow that's in your brain. And it revealed that this part was a little not as fluffy as I had wanted it to be. And I believe that that had to do with my years of smoking. I mean,
Uh,
it's not that bad. It's not like it's concave or anything, but when you want to look at and have a perfect fluffy, nice round brain, it's not that round yet. So, but it can be worked on and it could be fixed. So I'm like, thank
sure.
goodness I stopped smoking. But
Sure.
then I was like, oh, you know what? I mean, it's been years, but still it shows up in places like that.
Sure.
And you got to take care of it, you
Well,
know?
well, your brain, head trauma
Oh God.
kids that have played football, when they were children, or think of your, football, what's traditionally football in every country but ours, called football, soccer,
Soccer,
and
yeah.
the ball hits you, you hit the ball with your head,
I
or
know.
think about even with helmets on. I mean, you and I know what the brain looks like. We're both brain
Yep.
health coaches and certified through Dr. Amen, and it's the same thing, that fluffy, buttery,
It's like
brain of ours,
jelly. Yeah.
right? And then you've got and with all the pokey skull parts, and if you're bam, 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 I mean, that's awful. And that's,
Yeah.
there you have it, and I think that when you think about those things, even, it's what happens with your brain. You think about weed. I mean, weed is so I was gonna say so chronic in our world. For those of you weed smokers, you'll think that's hilarious. But but when you think about it, though, it really is so rampant is in the US. Let's just use the US. I know I tease about Washington State having more pot stores than, Mormon churches in Utah. And I mean, it's unbelievable to me that people want to numb out to that degree. And it's sad to me. What you and I know, though, about what it does to the brain, it's not a myth, and it's not, it's
No.
legit science that you don't get the oxygen to the brain, right? What happens?
I mean, it's with anything, right? If you don't give the body oxygen, even plants, right? They need oxygen, or, we need oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have oxygen, we don't breathe. So if you think of it that way, you're not getting oxygen into your brain. That means your brain isn't breathing. It isn't functioning properly. It's like not watering a plant, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Or like not even, watering yourself, giving your drinking water, basically.
Hydrating. Well, your
Mm-hmm.
brain shrinks. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, here's the bottom line. When you smoke weed or you drink alcohol, it shrinks your brain.
Yes.
When you are overweight or obese, your brain gets smaller.
Yeah.
That should be an indicator to everybody. So then it's not even just that you are what you eat, you are what you think.
Yes. Yes.
And really what the brain to belly is about, is it's really about that. And it's not about depriving yourself. I mean,
No.
heck, I've traveled with you. There's no
I
we
don't
ain't
deprive myself.
not at all.
No.
I mean, because why? Right? It's just
Yeah.
about being wise, though. It's about moving your body. It's about hydrating your body. Our bodies are close to 80% water.
Right.
So clearly we need to be, I guess the latest statistic or standard is drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water, right?
Right. That's what
Um,
they say. Yes.
right. 100%. So if you weigh 150, then you drink
What,
75,
5? Yeah.
yeah, 5 ounces of water a day,
Right.
just guesstimating. However, it's also about, is this good for my brain?
Yeah. And, you know, think of your brain like if you think of your brain as a computer, it's the CPU, right? It's the main part of it. So it controls the whole body, really.
Mhm.
And so your thoughts, what you think, and what you start believing start to affect that brain as well. So when somebody's had trauma in the sense of like even words, harsh words
Mhm.
spoken to you when you were a child can have effects on your brain.
So much.
And sadly, and I
Mhm.
think well, the general public isn't aware that much of the brain and how important it is. And but I think recently I've seen more and more articles and studies about it, which I think is great. But I also believe that if when you go down to it, not just the brain, but it's really what you think and what you put into it.
Right.
So also not definitely food as well, but also the thoughts that you put into it
Mhm.
can be toxic.
Oh gosh, yes. I know you're already familiar with Emoto Masuro's or Masuri Emoto Masuro, the scientist.
Yes,
Anyway, his work,
yes,
and where he did it with the healing effects of water,
yes.
and if I dove into that research. It was so beautiful, and every single
Crystal, yeah,
crystal that was formed, what was fascinating was the crystals that were formed with all the music that was not beautiful music, or with, which is interesting because some of that music is music that people just love, and then to see the effect it had on the body, as well as speaking out loud
yes,
those specific words, whether it was love or even the words you suck, you're pathetic, or you're beautiful, you're magnificent, and what how the body just responds to
right.
all. And so take that thought, if you would please, and then explain what your whole thought process is around the brain to belly.
Well, like like you said, everything that goes into your brain, whether it's food, thoughts, words, if you can kind of control it, right? More or less. Because if somebody says something negative about you, you can ignore that. Try to ignore it at least, right?
Right.
Um, it's not easy, but if somebody says something hurtful, but is it really hurtful? Is it really about you? When you start questioning things like that, that's just what they're saying. That's their perspective. That's not your truth. So you have to start, I know it's a little complicated, but you have to start thinking about what is your own truth? What do you really believe?
Hmm.
And I think it starts from learning to talk to yourself in kind ways, starting to love yourself, because
Right.
many of us would look in the mirror, right? And
Hmm.
we would say harsh things to ourselves. I remember, when I was when I had weight issues, when I wasn't loving myself as much as I do right now, I would look in the mirror and say, "Oh, look at you. You are so ugly. You are this, you are that," right? How are you going to go out in public like that? Are you really going to wear that? You know, and those were really harsh things I said to myself.
Wow.
And even saying that now, I'm like, "Oh God," right? But I'm like, would I say that? The good question is, would I say that to someone I really cared about and loved? And I would never say that to my best friend or to my sister or to my mother. No,
Right.
I could never say that. So then why am I saying it to myself?
Right. Or why
And yeah,
believing, why are you
exactly.
believing about yourself? I think that that is really something to dive to really explore. If
Yes,
that's something, why are you believing that about yourself? And then what do you have to believe to create something different? And what happens when that isn't what you believe? I mean, at some point I know for myself, I had to be so confident at what I bring to the table.
yeah,
In And it doesn't mean, you know, bringing to the table, being in executive management, or being the smartest person in the room, or any of those things. It really boils down to kind of like how we started the show. I mean, I was making a joke about if you have a fat head, what I mean? And then if you're, then you're going to have a fat belly,
it's
But
well, it's
seriously,
true. It's true
it's
though, sadly.
right, right. But it's really about, I know for me, because what the show's about, creating victory in every area of my
Yeah,
life. One of the places to create victory, and to me, the ultimate prize for living a life in joy, is you're victorious.
yes,
And I know that sometimes some people may even find that unrelatable, because their lens is, they have to live in suck world, you know, and I don't, and that, I mean, yeah, all you have to do is open up your laptop and even look at even socials. You look at social media nowadays and you can go down a rabbit hole really quick, really fast, you know,
Yes,
on any
yes.
subject and feel overwhelmed and depressed,
And
right?
yeah, but I think what it is also being aware of
Hmm.
who you are. And at
Hmm.
the end of the day, all these people on social, do you really know them? Are they really that important to you? Are they your family? No.
Right,
Who do you have to live with every day?
right,
Yourself. So it
right,
means to focus, to put the focus into us. So, like I said earlier, it's not about getting validation from the outside world. It's about getting validation from your within.
right.
And it's not easy to look within. But then sometimes you'll see things that you don't like about yourself. Okay, if you don't like it, change it.
Right.
I mean,
That,
or look for the parts that you love. Or like Jim Rohn said, right? If you don't see what I'm seeing, borrow my glasses. So see the people that love you, look through their lens, put a different filter on so that
right.
you see what others see in you, the people that love you, that care about you.
Well, you know, I mean, and I will say though, you and I both know we can say those things, but that doesn't, I mean, somebody's going to be like, whatever.
Yeah,
Nobody like, you know, they can go down that road. And I think what's important is really illuminate the things that you do love about yourself.
yeah,
Like really like shine the spotlight on it. And like you said, if there's something like you and I both are lifetime learners and you know, we live on the Kenai
yes.
River, you know, constant and, you know, always
Never
never.
ending. Yeah,
I mean, that's, and it is a constant thing. You know, I
yes,
recognize that even in the way that I feel my body or, you know, I had a conversation with you yesterday. Was it yesterday? Gosh, my days are like, or the day before yesterday. It was the day before yesterday about, you know, just about how I was feeling and came to the conclusion you know you suggested it and I was like you know that I needed to up my food intake and then we talked about protein being the thing that needed to be but it's even that it's like making that little tweak something because when you get off track even you recognize or when you get stressed or when you're really busy and you know drive-throughs become your friends and there's like even things a friend of our Shar um, even pointed out to me one time in shredded cheese. So for those of the people those of you that are really mindful of a keto type diet you know lifestyle high protein low starchy carbs you know that kind of thing eating lots of leafy greens like loving your Brussels sprouts and broccoli you know all those things right well, Shar pointed out to me one time because we live in this world of convenience, and who doesn't buy the bags of cheese already shredded, right? Like, seriously. Well, that cheese is dusted in potato flour,
yeah.
which it's like, again, hidden carbs.
Hmm.
And, right? And I never knew that till she told me that. Or even like, a lot of people love those little baby carrots because they're cute to dip in ranch.
Uh-uh.
Right. I know. And aren't they like dipped in bleach and all sorts of
They're,
crazy?
yeah, I think it's bleach. I'm not sure, but when you open the pack, don't you smell that astringent smell? And
Mhm.
my dog absolutely loves baby carrots. She loves carrots, right? So I was giving it to her. And then I started noticing, wait, I was like, what is this smell? And then I'm like, of course they need to put it in something to maintain that shape
Right.
and maintain the color and all this. And then I started doing some more research into it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to give this to my dog. So I know I'm crazy. Like I was like, I'm giving it to I'm eating it myself and I'm not gonna give it to my dog. But the thing is, so I started buying whole carrots and actually chopping them up and giving it to her because I knew that that wasn't, that didn't have all that those chemicals in it to preserve it.
Totally.
And well, I don't know, maybe preserving your body with all those chemicals will preserve it, but I don't know to what extent. What is it going to do to my brain? What is it going to do to some of my organs? It may preserve the outside, but it may not, it might mess up my insides. I don't
Right.
know. I'm like going all sci-fi and crazy, but I started thinking about all those things. And, I'd rather be safe in that sense.
Right.
Be careful. I mean, would you feed a baby carrot now? No.
Mm-mm.
Would
Mm-mm.
you feed your baby certain things if you knew what was in it?
Right.
And I don't think you would. So I think we have to start treating ourselves as the precious baby that
That we are.
we are. Yeah, that we are and we were to our parents or to our mother, right? And we should be to ourselves. Yeah,
Right. Well, it's what you said earlier, and I know you and I have had discussions about this, but when you said something to the effect of remembering who you are, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, I also would say remember whose you are.
yeah,
Like and I know you because we're so close, that I really do know to the core of my soul. I mean, obviously we were created,
yeah.
right? It was not like today we just showed up. I mean,
No, no.
and the masterpiece that our body is and what God did with our body and it being such a self-contained
Yes,
ecosystem of its own that and it's such a beautiful thing. And when I remember who I am and whose I am, and also on this earth, who my parents are, who my
yes,
siblings are, who my children are, who my grandchildren are. I, you know, I remember saying to my son Nicholas years ago, it doesn't make sense to me that the older we get, that our bodies fall apart and our minds fall apart. And it's like, why is that? If biblically people lived with their smarts and their wits to be 900 plus years old, some of them, well, why in the world, right, do we struggle? I like that. Doesn't make sense to me. Uh, to me, the older we get, the wiser we should get, right?
yeah.
And you and I are big blue zone girls, and so the wiser we should get, right? The wiser we should get, the more fine-tuned our body should get,
Yes,
the sleeker our body should get, the better they should get, and on all the things. So why, and I believe that we can create that.
I do too. And I think it's also because we stopped taking care of it in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Um, yes, as something ages, right? You're going to have to take better care of it too. When something's new, you don't have to take it like a new computer.
Right.
Okay, at the beginning, you don't have to take care of it that much, but as you're using it more often, you have to maintain it, right? Or a car even, right? You have to maintain it, you have to take care of it. And like I said, this is the only body we're given, you
Right.
know? We have to make the most of it. And I'm telling you, I'm going to take care of it the best I can because like I always tell you, I'm going to live to over 100 with
Yep.
my brain
Yep.
intact and my body intact, and I'm going to be the little old lady, the spunky old little lady that's going to
Yep.
say, "Let's go on the motorcycle" or
Yep.
whatever.
Yes. Why not? I mean, that I've always said that, not always, but for the last, I'd say 25 years, at least 120 plus. That's really and without any blip in my step or in my mind or anything. And so what do? I really look at, you know, the different parts in my life that will make sure that that happens.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of things that I have like a PhD in my life, and there's other things where I'm maybe in community college, right?
that's
Well,
okay because you know that's why we have our circle of friends or our community, right? And That's why we surround ourselves with the people that have the qualities that we don't exactly have so that we can all be, if combined, we can all be whole, right? We
Yeah,
can be a force together
yeah,
because, you know, I wouldn't think that whoever created this universe would have put us here to be individual people that are not going to communicate or be with other people. We're
right.
here to communicate with each other, be a community to create something. And, my wish is that people can be together to create good in the world.
100%. You
Yeah.
know, I look at it from a standpoint of if God made us in his image and and gave us the passions and the desires and the gifts and the talents and the skill sets that we have, what are we here to do with that? And I think it goes right back to the original topic of brain to belly. And as I think, right?
Yep.
So I feel, and as I feel, so I do, as I do, so I have. And so, what is it that we're thinking about, and what do we really have to believe to create that, or to even have victory in this area of your life? I know for me, the place that my nutrition, I mean, your nutrition can always get better. Whether it's right. I mean, it's whatever. And I don't mean that nonchalant, whatever. We just know,
We
if
always have to improve in everything in our
correct,
life.
correct.
Hmm.
And I think, for me, it's really the moving my body and being really habitual about specific things to make sure that my body is well toned and fit and so on and so forth,
Yeah.
and making sure again that the water people I mean things that are so simple, like, and you and I both are not great at the sleep thing yet, you know
No,
but
we're
that
not.
right.
Although I
But
could sleep anywhere, I'll tell you that. That's my
I can
superpower.
too. I can just knock out and sleep. It's just sleeping for a sustained 7 or 8 hours, but what's important, I think, is that we realize that sometimes it's just those tweaks,
Yeah.
simple tweaks. Up your protein, up your water, get great sleep, feed your mind,
Yeah.
feed your heart, feed your
Yeah.
spirit with
Yeah.
really good, nourishing things.
Exactly.
Make those, make comfort food for your mind, for your heart, for your spirit, being beautiful music,
Yeah.
right? And funny shows.
Or
Like,
even being in nature and
oh my,
communicating with nature, looking up at the stars,
yes. Yeah.
looking at the water, looking at trees,
Mhm.
feeling, walking on grass.
Yes.
Those little things. I mean, you can't do it in the winter, but, but what it is really being in touch with what's around us
Hmm.
and being in touch with your heart.
Right. Well,
Um,
because people,
mhm,
100%, what you're saying, I think being in touch with your heart is a big, right?
yep. And
Because,
I think we have to always tell ourselves, I like to say, sometimes I say as a joke, oh yeah, I'm magnificent. But you know what? I am magnificent. And
hello.
because I am a part of the universe. I am part of God or the
Yeah,
universe or whatever you want to believe. Whatever your belief system is, I am a part of that. I am a part of this miracle that is
100%.
life on this earth.
Right.
And I think we all tend to forget that and take it for granted sometimes.
Well, and then people, I know I think everybody's been victim to the blame game of, yeah, but I work 60 hours a week and then I've got the kids and they've got, soccer and tutoring and, all these things, right? And busy, 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 stack, stack, stack. Okay. But I would submit to you that you're really not a product of your circumstances. You're a product of your decisions. And
Exactly.
right? And it's the same thing with, you know, you look in the mirror and you turning the lights off, instead of instead
Yeah,
of
I mean,
light on, right?
I
Well,
think, God, what was it? I think it was the model Beverly Johnson once told this
yes.
story that she was, I don't know, she had some issue with her daughter and she was telling her mother this or something. And her mother said, well, it's time to go to the mirror and start talking to yourself or look in the mirror and start,
Mhm.
figuring it out. And I remember that story because I was like, I realized, yeah, what you really say to the mirror or what you say to yourself in the mirror makes a huge difference in what you start believing.
Oh gosh, yes. And I heard this saying the other day where it was, let me think, time always exposes what you truly mean to someone, right?
Yeah,
Well, what if you applied that to yourself? What has time exposed what you really mean to yourself? And looking at every, like you and I both are really familiar with the wheel of life or the life wheel, and looking at your strengths in each area of your life and how strong you are there and what you could improve in that area, whether it's relationships or finances or social or even things like with your
spiritual.
goals.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But when you think about it for yourself, time always exposes what you mean to you.
yeah. And it shows up on the
Mm,
outside. When
mm,
you're feeling good about yourself, like
right.
I've noticed even some people that I know, when I see a transformation in a person, when let's say I know this one woman who is really always like, well, she was depressed because she had family issues and she had issues with her daughter, and she blamed herself for a lot of things that happened to her
Mm,
family and to herself. And she worked through it. And
mm,
in the past year, I think in the past 2 years that I've known her, the transformation is amazing because she started working on herself and started believing in herself
right.
and
Right.
started loving herself. And yeah, there are days, I know there are days when she, it's a little depressed and she slips back into that old self. But then she pulls herself back up because she said, and I think today she said to me, the difference is I know that I can feel better. And I'm feeling so much better because I love myself. And I know that I could be this way. And this is the natural way that things should be. And
Yes.
just seeing that joy in her face, that radiance in her was
Yes.
just, it made me so happy to see that.
Right.
And I think, for all of us, when we see people that are happy, that are radiating this joy and love, you want a piece of that. I want to be like that, right?
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to be happy? Who doesn't want to be laughing with joy?
Somebody said to me the other day that I was unrelatable because I live in so much joy. I know. And it's funny because had that been 20 years ago, I might have tried to present some sucky things in my life so that I fit in better, you
Yeah,
know. And it was interesting because I thought whatever, sucks to suck, but buddy, because I thought I why wouldn't I be relatable because I choose to live in joy. I think I look at my life and I had said to my mom, I said, I think in my life, and I know people in their lives, some people have genuinely had more opportunities to have pain in their lives. And I know in my life, there's been lots of opportunities for that. And it's really a choice, like, because I look and I think I owe it to myself to look the best I've ever looked, to feel the best I've ever felt, to make the most money I've ever made, to be in love deeper than I ever have been, to love my family more than ever, to create the most fun vacations ever. I mean, all of those things. And if that makes me unrelatable, then you're not my person.
right. And
You then you belong at a different table than the one that I'm sitting at, and that's okay.
yeah, that's totally okay. But
Okay.
also, the thing is, everyone has a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Mm-hmm.
a choice to be the happy person.
Right.
And if you don't want it, that's fine.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I can't make you be happy. I can't make you choose to be happy.
Right.
And, but, for me, I want to be happy and I want to make the people, I want to have the people that are around me to be happy, the people that I care about to be happy and to be
Right.
joyful.
Right.
And
Well,
if I can, by example, or just by me living my life,
mm-hmm.
if people could feel that and say, "Oh, maybe I can do this a little bit," or, just it's just little baby steps that we just keep on stacking and stacking,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually it gets easier.
Mm-hmm.
And even the mirror exercise, which I love to talk about all the time, but it's like I couldn't say I love myself in the mirror the first time somebody said to do that. I was like, "Are you serious?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was like, "Yeah, whatever," and I didn't do it. And
Right.
then I was like, "Okay, if my mentor is saying to really do it, maybe I should try it at least." So I
Right.
started doing it, and then, people around me are saying my classmates are saying, "Yeah, it really works. You should try it. You should try it." So it's like, "Okay, you know what? Fake it till I make it," right? So
Yep.
I'm gonna try it, and I started doing it, and I was like, "Huh, you know what? I feel a lot better when I say it."
Right.
And then I started, seeing different parts of myself. I'm like, huh, I'm not so ugly. I'm actually pretty good looking. Or like, I actually like the way my eyes look. Or I actually like the way my hair looks, or little things like that. Or like, I love
Right.
my smile. And then I started seeing that what I feel inside was being projected out as well.
Right.
And
Right.
then and then I started smiling more often. And I said, you know what? Now I can just look in the mirror and say, "Yayoi, I love you," right? And I could play with that. And, I some days I could be very, very happy, happy, and some days I could be kind of like serious and, but I play with that. But that's
Right.
just me. And you have to find your own way of expressing that to yourself,
Right.
expressing the love to yourself.
Right. Well, and in order to express it, you have to really love yourself. I mean, at the end
Yeah,
of the day, it comes full circle to what we started talking about in the
yeah,
beginning, and and that for some people is really hard. And you mentioned happiness earlier,
yeah,
and I see happiness as subjective. I mean, happiness is based on environment, circumstances, things that happen, right?
yeah,
And so those boil down to your decisions. And
yeah,
joy is for me joy comes from knowing God. Joy, the joy of the Lord is my strength, and I say that because I lean into that. And at the
yeah,
same time, that joy though, it's it's a choice. You can wake up every day in joy, and that does not mean for a second that I don't have moments in my day where I think of a loved one that's not here, and I can, it's like 0 to 100 instant, of sobbing. And it's like,
yeah,
and you don't know that it's, that because you've lost, loved ones as well. And, or not lost them because we don't really lose them, but, you've had loved ones move back home to heaven, right? But,
yes,
but in your spirit, it comes from this place that you don't even remember is there. Like all of a sudden you've got this,
yep,
and then as quickly as it was there, it just transforms back into your whatever you're doing for the day.
yeah,
And I think those are the moments that it's really important that we allow to happen,
yeah,
and that we don't get stuck in.
yeah. It's really about not getting stuck in it. And because life is to be experienced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are going to be challenging things in our lives. Not
Right.
everything's going to be roses and unicorns and rainbows and whatnot, right? And it's not, I wish it were, but it's
Right.
not. It's not like I have a magic wand and or I can wiggle my nose and say everything will be perfect. No, it's like, yeah, life is life. Things are going to come at you. There are going to be waves that come at you.
Right.
And it's really about learning how to get on those waves, how to flow with it, how to
Right.
be adaptable, and also, while you're adaptable, to know who you are and what you really want out of this life.
Hmm. That is the key question. What do you really want?
Yeah,
I when I do breakthrough calls, and one of the first things that I ask somebody is so what's not working in your life right now? You know, what isn't working? And I my goal is for them to experience, let's talk about what's not working in your life. And then ask them, well, what do you really want?
yeah,
Because here's what's happening in your life and what's not working. Here's what you really want. And how do we mitigate, meaning shorten, right? As
yeah,
you just did, the distance between the two
yeah,
and make it happen. And that's really the way that I see brain to belly.
yeah.
How do we
It
shorten
is.
the distance between the brain and the belly to
Yeah,
where there's a happy highway
yes,
and not, the highway to hell?
yeah. And
Right?
yep, and I was telling someone earlier, it's about also like if you think of it as a hose in your body, right? Like the garden hose in your body, and you
Hmm.
want that water flowing smoothly, right? Up and down.
Right.
But if it's kinked, it's gonna go into different places. It's gonna, get lodged somewhere, or it's gonna, accumulate in one place or another. It's not gonna flow.
Right.
And what we want to do is
Right.
that flow, that harmony. Yeah,
Well, and also if it's kinked, which this is interesting, if it's kinked, then when it finally gets unkinked, right? What happens when it's pressure?
yep,
You're going to blow a gasket.
yeah, yep. So it's really about, trying to maintain that flow, trying to maintain things so that you can be in control and it could be easier for you.
Right. Right.
Because, you know, as humans, we want things that are easy for us. And I'd rather make things easier for me so that I could be happy rather than make it easier for me to be sad and in a sucky
100%.
place. Yeah, who wants to be in a sucky place? I don't like it.
No kidding. Well, I love what you said too, to make it easy. Why do why do we want things to be so hard? Sometimes we look at, if I worked harder for it, it means more. It boils down to, what do you really believe? You believe that because somebody told you that, you know,
Exactly.
and have you ever examined your beliefs? Like,
Yeah.
we believe things hook, line, and sinker because our parents did, because their parents did, and so on and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And what do we have to really believe to create the life of our wildest dreams,
Yeah.
and to create a life that has synergy between your brain and your belly?
Exactly. Exactly. Because when that is aligned, you're not
Hmm.
going to eat the crappy foods because you don't want it. You don't really need it.
Exactly.
And I know, like sometimes when I'm in a bad place, sometimes I will have the not so great foods or I'll make choices that aren't very good.
Right.
And my body feels it and my
Right.
mind feels it. Um, and I think if anyone tries to experiment with that, they'll feel it. You try eating, healthy for a couple of days and then say, screw it. I'm just going to have my burgers and fries and soda. Do it. I encourage you to do it because your body is going to feel it.
Right.
And just like a kid that knows how not to touch the hot stove or something,
Come
right?
get it. Right. Right.
Yeah. It's like if you learn by experience.
Right. Right. Well, and I think that that's one of the things too that when you think about it, like what do you really want and what don't you want? And creating the life based on those, like you said, and you take your experiences, you learn from those experiences, and you keep moving forward and lighten the heck up.
Yeah,
Like quit being so hard on
yeah.
not on yourself and on everyone around you.
Because, smile.
Exactly.
I mean, hey, what's going to be more attractive? Somebody that's always got a this or
Yeah.
someone that's going to be smiling and radiating joy. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
rather go to somebody that's like smiling and having fun than somebody that's all grumpy and that's
Right.
going to yell at me, right?
Yes. 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 So it is time. Speaking of smiling, thank you so much, Yayoi, for bringing that beautiful smile to us today. I've had a blast. I always have a blast with you. It's not like we don't talk every day anyway. So now we get to do it in front of other people. So,
Likewise.
and I want to thank all of you for joining us today. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check us out, spanglishworld.ca, for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. I love you, Yayoi Komiyama. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love you too, Cindy Gould.